don't hold nothing back, Nsima.
Come on now, concentrate.
Like
You got the strength for this. Here we go.
There we go.
Come on now. There we go. Everybody, welcome to the seminar. We're just going to kind of kick it off with a little instructional stuff. As you guys know, we got CT motherfucking Fletcher here today. Really excited for that, and thank you guys so much for coming here today. I think probably the most like undersold thing almost all the time when it comes to initiating doing anything is just getting yourself to the location, just getting yourself initiated and engaged in whatever it is you're doing. I've heard famous writers, I've heard famous people talk about, you know, writing songs and writing books and all these different things, and they usually say that actually like sitting down and writing is not the hard part, like the actual taking the pen to the paper. The hard part is getting yourself there. The hard part is getting yourself into that particular situation, feeling the way that you feel creative and feel like you want to do it. One of the biggest things that blocks us is self-doubt. And I want to thank all of you for blocking out some self-doubt today, because it's really easy. If you look at the comments on CT Fletcher coming here today, people were like, oh, I have this to go to, I'd love to go, but, and then there was also people like, I don't understand, is it free, is it what? You guys just took the initiative, you're like, I'm not really sure what's going on either, but I'm going to go there and I'm going to find out because I want to see CT Fletcher and I want to go to Super Training Gym. So thank you guys so much for getting yourselves here. That is a big part of the battle. Got my boy Nsima Inyang over here hitting up some deadlifting, and CT is long retired from lifting. I'm pretty much retired from lifting, so I'm like, we're old, we're beat up, we can't really do shit anymore. Who do I know that's an absolute savage that can still lift some pretty good weights? And I thought of this guy right here, it's not too shabby. So Nsima's going through some deadlifting. He's doing some sumo deadlifting. When he's done kind of working up towards like a heavy set, I'll also instruct you guys and tell you guys a little bit about conventional deadlifting. But I figured if we're going to do this seminar today and we're going to have CT get everyone all hyped up and motivated and fired up and stuff, I thought, why not give you guys a couple tangible things you can walk away with from this particular seminar. So in the case of bench, squat, or deadlift, all three of those movements, when we do them here at Super Training Gym, we always utilize the barbell to pull ourselves into position. Nsima has really good mobility and flexibility, and so he probably doesn't necessarily have to pull himself into position, but you want to pull yourself into position so that you create a lot of tightness. You're going to notice as he starts to pull on the bar, you're going to see the bar bending before the weights ever leave the ground. Well, some people might think, oh, because he's got a lot of weight on there, but you can do this with even a lot of the lighter weights. You can pull the slack out of the bar, get some tension on it. One of the first things that we want to do is we want to try to hip hinge, and we want to try to bend down towards the bar. And you see how he opened up at the legs too? It's not like he really squatted down, but he forced the hips back. Now he's going to grab the bar, and as he goes to grab the bar, he's going to pull himself into position and kind of get into almost a little bit of like a mini squat. The hips are going to be lower than the shoulders. That's one of the key points of the deadlift, which might not seem that difficult, but sometimes when the weights get really heavy, we end up pulling and we end up getting in these weird positions. So you always want to have your hips lower than your shoulders. You want to try to have your back flat. You want to pull the slack out of the bar because that's going to help to create some tightness. And one of the major cues that I've learned over the last year or so, which I wish I would have learned sooner, is the reverse shrug cue. So I think most people know the exercise of doing a shrug. You grab some dumbbells or a barbell and you just shrug it up as high as your shoulder will allow you to move in this range of motion. Well, if you practice a reverse shrug, you can just do it in your chairs right now, and just think kind of pushing your arms kind of downward the opposite way that you would shrug. You're going to feel the shoulder elongate, your chest and rib cage is going to pull up a little bit, and that's exactly what we're trying to do when we're deadlifting. You really want to try to engage the lats. You're going to notice that it's very, very common amongst people that deadlift big weights is they have a very, very large back. And you can see from Nsima that he has back for days going on over there. And a lot of that has to do with when you go to pull on that weight, those are supporting muscles that are involved in the deadlift. But here we go, we got 545 on there. You have anything you want to add that you're trying to do when you're doing these movements?
I think a big thing is the same setup ritual. So I try to keep my deadlift setup minimal. I don't try to do too much so I don't have to think. And for me, it helps me to do that so I don't think before I hit the bar. I don't think about shit. So the less I have to do, the less setup I have, the easier it is for me to do a good deadlift and keep it consistent from set to set and rep to rep. So all the reps look the same from 135 to 650, 700, whatever I end up pulling.
You're going to notice that when you start doing this yourselves and you start to ingrain that routine over and over again, you're going to notice how scrambled you get when the weights get heavier and heavier, and how you just slightly got out of that routine. You know, there's an old adage from Mike Tyson. He said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Well, everybody has a good way to lift some weights until the weights get to be really fucking heavy, and then all logic goes out the window and you're like, I'm just going to yank on the weight and just crank up the music and just go crazy. Doesn't work great. Develop a routine and try to stick with it. Nice. Smooth. One of the biggest crimes that's ever done in any gym where people are trying to get stronger and people are trying to improve is they simply oftentimes just lift too heavy. I see it time and time again when you're watching someone, they're trying to improve, they're trying to get stronger, but to ingrain it into your body, it has to be the correct information. It can't be information that your body's not ready to handle, otherwise you won't interpret it correctly and it will inhibit your ability to actually get stronger. You'll find that almost every single thing in life works that way. If you go to a seminar on how to make more money or how to improve sales or whatever it is, you'll notice that you can be in that seminar for a little while, or even here today. You can be in there for a little while, you can only learn so much before your capacity to retain that information starts to get lost. Well, physically in the body, that happens times 1,000 because you can only handle so much, and the second that you start to get fatigued, it's not only no longer working for you, it's actually literally starting to work against you. So I know we all get excited and we all want to lift some really, really big weights, but you have to be very, very cautious, and the weights have to be weights that your body is prepared for. Whatever you're going to do in your lifting, whether you're going to embark on a 5x5 or start to do singles or triples or 10 sets of 10, whatever the program is that you're about to do, your body needs to be prepared for it in the best possible way. That will ensure you'll get the greatest gains and the greatest results from that particular program. If you're just jumping into it out of nowhere, you most likely will get hurt. We got 6 plates on there, 585 pounds. So here we go. Trying to keep everything the same. Smooth, still looks the same. With the same at 135, 225, 315, and so on. One of the other skills that you're trying to develop and learn as you're doing, in this case, a sumo deadlift, is you are trying to spread the floor apart. It's just a cue that will allow you to not have your knees come really far forward. In the case of a conventional deadlift, your feet will be much closer together, and you actually do want to drive your knees forward to the barbell a little bit, especially to initiate good power and strength from the bottom of the movement. But in the case of the sumo deadlift, you want that shin angle to be more straight up and down. I think we got 7 plates on there now. Got 675. I want you guys to keep in mind the style of training that is done here very often at Super Training, and a style that I used for a long time, was I trained very often with sub-maximal weights. The reason why I chose sub-maximal weights is that you can't learn anything from maximal weights, except for to say, oh shit, that was really heavy, and that was a bad idea. You want to utilize weights that you can actually learn something from. That's kind of put into your system, put into your computer, typed into your central nervous system. Literally, they have information that these things get etched into your muscles. These things get like almost embossed into your muscles, if you can picture that. It gets like signed off, and it's like, okay, you're good to go. You're able to lift that weight now. That's what you're trying to reintroduce every single time that you lift. So if you try to lift 100 pounds out of nowhere and you're only prepared to do 85 pounds, you will not gain access to lift 100 pounds. But if you do 90 pounds and you do it correctly over and over again for multiple sets, and you're doing it smoothly, your body will say, okay, now we have an opportunity. Now we got some space to grow, because you're teaching it the right way. So you want to do that time and time again. I don't think Nsima has handled anything over a 605 deadlift in a really, really long time. In my training, when I squatted 1,080, most of my training was done with 400 and 500 pounds. It doesn't really sound to make any sense at all, but those are the weights that I used. And it was, again, because I was informing my body the proper way to do it over and over again. CT, can you come over here, please? I think, when you get a little extra weight on the bar, while we do want to do everything the same way, it's nice to have some motivation. So we got CT Fletcher in here to fire everybody up today, and really appreciate him coming in.
I thought you were going to be the deadlift.
There we go. Yeah,
I'm ready.
There you go.
But I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
And see, why you get naked when you do the deadlift? When you walk around, why you got to be naked to deadlift?
I need the air to,
Okay.
to hit the bottom,
I thought that was one of the things.
Good blood flow.
Get naked to deadlift. You ready, NC?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's see if we can fire him up a little bit. Everybody give him a hand. Pretty stoic when he lifts. He's usually pretty calm, but I still think it helps to have other people cheering you on and encouraging you to do your lift.
Everything! Don't hold nothing back, NC. Right here.
670.
Right now. On this motherfucking floor. Let's go, NC. Pull that shit.
Come on now, concentrate.
Like
You got the strength for this. Here we go.
Ever gonna do. Pull.
Come on now. There we go. Smooth. Yep.
Pull.
Come on now. There we go. Smooth. Yep.
That was disgustingly easy.
Did it feel easy?
All right.
If we're going to break the weight down, I just want to show you guys just very, very quickly conventional deadlift, and we're just going to hop right into today's seminar. What do you think, CT? How'd it look?
Man, that looked like a machine. Yeah, if Get Naked do that, I might get naked.
Who's
probably would empty the gym out pretty quick if I got naked.
Who's the strongest and just like baddest lifter that you think you've ever seen? Who's like maybe your favorite almost, I guess?
Man, the most powerful, O.D. Wilson. Mm-hmm. Yeah, O.D. Wilson.
Yeah, he was a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, a lot of you young folks probably don't know who that is, but Google him. He's a bad dude. Long time ago.
Routinely squatting over 800 pounds, benching over 600 pounds, deadlifting over 800 pounds. Back before any of this was cool, back before anybody cared. You kind of see how important it is to over and over again re-ingrain the proper practice, the proper technique, the proper form. It gets to be really, really boring. It gets to be really, really monotonous. But anyone that you talk to that's developed in anything that they've ever done and become a success at anything, they've almost always done it for at least 10 years. And then a lot of times when somebody has done something for 10 years, they do it for another 10, they recognize that they didn't really know anything in their first 10 years. This all just takes a really, really long time. So understanding that fact that it's going to take a long time, each individual workout will matter just a pinch less, but everything still matters, and you don't want to compromise and you don't want to give up on stuff because everything matters. It's really easy to say, oh, my diet doesn't matter for today, or sleep doesn't matter for today. Those things, they will add up over time, but just recognize you have a bad workout here or there. Just recognize that that's just a learning tool. That is not necessarily a loss. That is just something you can implement. It's information that you now have, and you say, I'm not going to do that again. So Nsima's going to line up for a conventional deadlift. Some of the rules are the same. We want to try to keep the back flat. The hips are going to be lower than the shoulders. We want to get the lats engaged, the lats tight, so we do that kind of reverse shrug or bend the bar around your body type of cue. He's going to get himself set, and he's just going to pull. Pushing into the floor, driving the knees slightly forward to the barbell in the bottom position of the lift. And the way that you lift versus the way that he lifts versus the way that I lift, it all might look a little different, but those are just some of the general rules. So that's it for deadlifting, and now we're just going to walk right into podcasting. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.